What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Better Biomed. Folks, I am in the process of reassembling the ice maker. I was just going to do it off camera, but I decided, yeah, I'm here anyway. This is a pretty good opportunity that if you guys have questions or whatnot, I can answer them. This was one heck of a product. And it's amazing. It's very expensive. Normally these things cost $500 to $600 in the store. But this project has it really took a lot out of me. I'll give them that. And it challenged me in every possible way. There's going to be a series of videos that I'm going to be releasing just because of some of the stuff that I found. It's amazing. So anyway, this is going to be the reassembly of that unit right now. So let's go ahead and minimize some of these. All right. I hope the audio is okay. Last time I started this, I had not good audio. It was echoey in the beginning. So I'm hoping this time that audio is coming through nice and clear. If not, then I'll have to sit here and monkey with it and figure out what's going on. So hopefully the audio is good. You guys all right? Hope you guys are having a fantastic Sunday. I know when I get these kind of projects, I get so involved with them that I focus mainly on this stuff, okay? So let's go ahead and flip the cameras over so that you guys can see exactly what I'm dealing with. And I'll modify the camera angles and stuff as we go, because this thing is an absolute beast. You can see part of it right over there behind me. So it's kind of a complex device, but I think I got a handle on it. And if you see my other live stream, you'd see that it was in a bad way. It was not good. But I got this ice maker for $25, and in that I put a couple bottles of CLR through various pieces of it and whatnot, and God only knows how many hours. But it's for the sake of making good videos. So and then even then, some of the best parts I didn't even record because it required that much focus when I had some broken fasteners and whatnot. But anyway, let's go ahead and flip these cameras over and let's show you what we're working with today. All right, so this is my chaotic tabletop. Jeez. Okay, well, so I've got some pieces, and the reason I have them over here at the table is because what we're doing is we're not in camera frame. Here, let me move this guy a little bit. And let's move him over a little bit more. And how about we give you guys a little bit of zoom so that y'all can see what I'm doing. Okay, well, hopefully this kind of throws everything in the frame, because this here is it. And you guys that have a top-down view, maybe you guys can take a look over here. Hold on. I'm stretching out really far so that I can handle the cameras too. All right, let's do this. Let's move this guy over. Okay, so this guy right here is the ice maker head, and you might notice it looks a heck of a lot different than the last time. So the last time I had it apart, it was all rusted and all of the fasteners snapped off, which I do have some of those right here. You see, these ones right here were the fasteners that were rusted, and they were in a very, very bad way. So I have a whole nother video coming out where I show you the process for removing broken fasteners in a piece of metal. And it is a long process, by the way. So I broke off the main ones, and then on camera, I broke off the 4 of these ones. And so these here are M6 by 1 fasteners, so they're stainless steel. And then these ones here are M4 by 0.7. So they are metric fasteners. And I did a video where I drilled these ones out because these ones here were much more challenging And these big ones right here, I was able to extrude using the heat and wax crayon method, believe it or not. And they all came out beautifully. In fact, let's see. I have the remnants of one of those right here. And you can see it was not a good thread. This guy, it was pretty messed up. So all the holes have been chased and cleaned up. So I'm kind of figuring out, you guys, if you've followed me, you know that every failure is a symptom. And that is exactly what this case is. So we have a couple problems here. I had rust here on the back side of my reservoir. So right here is where the chute goes in. And I had a lot of corrosion right here. This is the UV tank. So what happens is the water comes into the tank right here with a pump, and it also comes into the cold head. It goes through here and it goes into this tray, which normally sits on top, and then it circulates back into the chamber. But what I've noticed is all these fasteners right here failed because there is a silicone O-ring right here that failed. So this guy right here failed, which caused moisture to build up on top of the surface, and also it leached because notice it's a downward angle. So the moisture would come down and it would go down the slope, and then it would collect right here on the rim. Now there's a couple different reasons why moisture was collecting, because remember on the other video we had a whole bunch of scale right here all over this chamber. It was an absolute nightmare. So I sat here, and the real star of the show were these A-res scrapers. So these ones here are polymer scrapers, so that way they do not damage surfaces. And CLR and these scrapers right here clean these up beautifully, guys. Absolutely beautifully. And I do notice, let's see, I have a little bit more scale up here. Man, I've cleaned this chamber so many times. Dealt with corrosion. We had a whole bunch of corrosion here, here, and then the back side. So I dealt with a lot of the corrosion, but I'm just noticing I got some more scale right here. I'll clean out that reservoir in the very end. So I have to be very careful with this particular product in itself, because this guy is for food, potentially, right? So since it's for food, I have to be extra careful with any debris. And I mean, the cold head right here, this guy was a bear, okay? The amount of corrosion, just scale, not really corrosion, but scaling, that was in the cold head. There's an auger, a stainless steel auger, and the bottom of the auger was full, absolutely full of scale. And that obviously decreases its efficiency, but scale also doesn't have thermal conduction like metal to metal, right? So its ice output was probably also dramatically decreased because of that. But anyway, when I pulled this cap off, which was a little bit of a chore, because remember all these fasteners were sheared off. When I got this guy off, I pulled out the auger, and then it had to get soaked. And then the bottom of the stainless steel canister. So what we got here, we have a cold line coming into a coil, and then there's a stainless steel pot that it wraps around. And this is all an insulating jacket right here. So the auger gets flooded with water at the base, and it slowly, very, very slowly spins. Like this motor over here spins like 300 or 400 times before you even notice much of a rotation. So this is a huge gear reduction down here. It's massive, because this guy, it might be belt driven. That would make more sense. But massive reduction, because you have to spin this guy a lot just to get this guy to move a little bit. So it's probably, it might be gears, because I don't know, it would take multiple belts in order to have that kind of reduction. But anyway, the auger itself needed cleaned. The pot, the bottom of the pot was full of scale. And mind you, these surfaces are also like bearing surfaces on the bottom. So since it's a bearing surface, we can't just go in with a metal chisel, which would have been easy, and just go at it. I had to go in with a brass punch and punch away at the scale, which took a long time. That's why I didn't put it on camera, because holy cow, that would have made for a very boring video. Not that this one's going to be too much better, but anyway, I just assembled it yesterday. There is one more silicone O-ring right here, which is a compression O-ring. And there's also a ledge, so it seats down into a surface. And that O-ring, I treated it below and a little bit above with a thin layer of kitchen grade silicone. And that way there, it's not leaking. So I'm gonna do the same thing to this upper surface right here when it's finally done. So I just figured out the plumbing, because a couple of the hoses, I had to take all the hoses apart because they were so full of scale. Every single hose had to get scrubbed. You can see right here, these are all some of the originals. And I'm just now routing the hoses in a way that should be correct. Okay, so it should go something like this. Now we have these coil springs on here, and the coil springs are for abrasion resistance and to keep the hose from collapsing. So when you angle a hose at a sharp angle, it naturally wants to grow wider in the middle and collapse. And that's kind of what those are for, to prevent that. So it's for abrasion because it's going to be riding on irregular surfaces, and at the same time, you know, it's going to prevent it from collapsing. So now that I got the hose situation kind of figured out, this here is going to sit kind of like that. I've got the reservoir here. It has been treated multiple times. So now I'm just going to fasten the cables up. And I'm going to put the chamber on there, and then we're going to rotate it so that you guys have a better view of what's going on. Now, I wish I could do a side-by-side, kind of give you guys a clearer vision. I don't know if you guys would rather the camera in camera or a perfect 50-50 side-by-side. But I try to get you guys the best camera angle of what I'm doing, because I never know what problems I'm going to encounter next. I have no clue. We're just doing this together. If it fails, it fails, right? You're going to have a front row seat. Okay, so let's see. I've got my pot right over here. And I've got everything sitting on this silicone mat because things spill out. I was using acids on this thing, which is technically what CLR is. This whole project was chaos. Okay, I'm going to tuck the cables inside. Okay. So here is the circulating pump down at the bottom. And there's also a chamber drain. So there's a fluid reservoir right here, the chamber, and there's a little filter, and that goes down here. The pump is right above it, and it is very smart. They have the drain in the lowest position, and the pump is up a little bit. That way there, if there's any debris in the bottom of the reservoir, it does not get the debris throughout the system, supposedly. Unfortunately, it was so dirty that didn't really matter. But supposedly, it's kind of a protection to keep you from, you know, getting gunk up in there. And it would have worked if these people cleaned it, ever. Okay, so here's my first clamp. And this is an absolute bear, guys. Okay. So I got my first clamp on successfully. I didn't think that was going to go so well. Now I've got some wires here that I don't want to get pinched between the metal. So I'm going to bring those over. That's for my circulating pump, which should be working just fine. And these wires, I'm going to go ahead and bring around. Let's see. I think it'd be best to bring those on the side of the compressor. So these are going to wrap around and come up to the control panel on the other side. There we go. Okay. So remember I told you that the spring is for abrasion resistance and to keep it from collapsing. Well, now you can kind of see why, because there's going to be some really sharp angles here, and we'll get that figured out in just a moment. But you can see what it wants to do right there. It kind of wants to collapse. So what I'm going to do is feed the spring over those areas. Let's get a little bit more space. All right. And I need a different set of pliers. Never been so glad to have so many different types of needle nose pliers, guys. Never been so glad. All right, there we go. All right. So here is almost exactly where the tank sits. And this is going to sit kind of in an angle like that. This one here's got an indent, and it's going to protrude through the top. And this one goes over to the cold pot, which I've already got installed because that was a little bit of a bear. Okay, so that's where the chamber sits all the way down. And I think it's about time to start getting my fasteners up here so that we can do this properly. What a project, guys. Whoa. My goodness. All right. And yes, I do frequently wear safety glasses, especially when working with chipping debris. My gosh, that stuff goes absolutely everywhere. And there's nothing worse than getting like debris in your eyeballs. Okay. Let's put this over here. Okay, so I have 4 fasteners. All right, excellent. So let's do some eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Those are not very long, and they sit down in there very, very oddly. Let's see, PTZ2 and number 2 Phillips. I'm going to be sinking these by hand because reassembly, they could get damaged very easily. Clean up all the rusted scale. Thanks, man. It was pretty bad. Josh, Michael, good to see you all. Yeah, this guy was in a very bad way. Let's see. Once this reservoir gets in there and the plumbing's attached, the rest of it's kind of easy, guys. Now, I don't even know if it works yet. How about that? I have no clue if this thing's going to actually function, because I wasn't going to turn it on with all that scale and stuff. I mean, that's just a problem waiting to happen. Okay, so that's that side. Let's go ahead and come over here. I do have a bunch of extra stuff that I don't need at the moment. Like, here's all my M4 stainless steel fasteners. Guys, I have a bunch of fasteners here. I love having fasteners because it's pretty hard to get work done without them. All right. Let's see. Now I got these 2 right here. All right, that's looking really good. Oh no. Okay, am I going to get that one out? Oh, okay, I can still access it. There's one Phillips head that's buried down in there, and it's a nightmare, but I can still get it. So I got one right here and one on the other side. I got both of those with really long extensions, and was able to just get them right out. Really long extensions like this guy right here. So now you can see what I'm dealing with. All right. Okay, so this guy's going to go on in a moment. Here's one of my original stainless fasteners. I cleaned it up, but it was in a real bad way. Man, for these being 8.8 marked stainless fasteners, it just twisted the heads right off those. They must be a cheaper grade. I have no idea, but they have to be cheaper grade. Okay, so now I've got two really long, hard to get to Phillips that I got to sink in. All right, so one of them's down here, one of them's over here. And let's see, how am I going to do this? You can see the apparatus that I used last time. There we go. Over there I can get in nice and personal. And I'm missing my handle, guys. Stay. Okay. There we go. There's the hard one. This one here should be the easy one. Never can have too many extensions, guys. Never. Okay. Perfect. Dang, that works so good. Okay. So from the back side, now I've got my control panel. Might as well install it right now. That way there I can organize some of these cables. I've got so many parts over here. So many parts. And I've got to figure out where this guy went. So it's a bezel, snaps in some place. It looks like it goes right there. Okay, we'll figure that out. Anyway, got a plastic bezel. And control panel. Sits in there just like this. Okay. And if I remember correctly, this one here came all the way in like so. Connected right here. And I got this one. Come on. It's much easier to connect these with it not being fully seated. Because once I get it in there, that's a tight fit, guys. Let's see. Okay. The ground protrudes and it connects right here. And let's see. As well connect this guy. And this one. Okay. Now let's see if I can carefully put this guy down in. So it screws in right here, and I've got two fasteners back here. Ooh. Okay, we can deal with that. Let's see, let me make sure that I'm getting the correct fasteners. I got these two back here. Okay. I'm glad that I did it in this order, because getting some of these cables in here and connected would have been such a bear. These frames are so sharp. That way there I didn't have to reach around too much. Okay. And let's see, I've got a purple. I don't know if this is the original way that it was routed, but that's the way I'm going to do it, just as long as it stays out of the fan over here. It's right there. And I've got the infrared LED detectors. It's here and here. Oh, how are those going to get routed? It's got to go under or around the chute right here. Okay. We're just going to tuck it underneath, and then the platter, it'll probably go just like that. Okay. Just as long as they're not going to get caught on anything, we'll be all right. So these two right here came all the way up here. Okay. Here, I'll let you guys see from the side here. These are just aesthetic LEDs, so they're not really that functional. I don't know, I'm kind of anxious to power it on, put some water in it, and let's see if it kicks out some ice. Okay, so here is one of my next things I'm going to have to put on. That's my reservoir. And this guy here has an infrared LED in it, which is also full of scale, or not infrared, Jesus, ultraviolet. So it's got a UV LED. And what's supposed to happen is water will circulate from the lower chamber up into here, and then it does have an overflow, which will go back into the chute and back down into the ice chamber. But this guy here, it had scale all around the top, which shows that this guy was overflowing or getting too full. So we'll check on that. Make sure that there's no debris. So this reservoir here is supposed to sit over there. We will plug that guy in just a moment. So this is my condenser fan. And this guy just runs up the inside. There we go. Okay. So here we've got my UV LED. Ooh, I have to do some cable management here, guys. Okay, and this one right here is going to be my low water detect, my float sensor. Okay, so that is pretty much almost everything. I just got these two here. And this is going to be my my detector. And why does that one look like a micro switch? Oh, okay. What? I'll have to take a look at that. I have a micro switch up and on the bottom side. Would that be triggered? Oh, it's probably the bin detect. My bad, guys. My bad. I'm like, there's no way the ice would trigger that little switch. But yeah, it's for the bin detect. That way there. Got these ones here a little mixed up. That could have been bad, right? Yeah, two connectors that are the same color. I'm going to say that these two here are next to each other, and this one here was down here, right? Okay, just to be certain of that, I told you guys I take photos of circuit boards and stuff before I take them apart. That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to pause and reflect. Okay. So I can clearly see that a red and white one is attached to the top, and down below is the white and black. Perfect. They're the same color. You know, even though they tried color coding them, the connectors are the same exact color. Not very intuitive. It's not silk screen, so it's kind of hard to figure out what's supposed to go where. Okay, guys, let's see. That's all plugged in. That's all good. Technically, I could turn it on right now. Okay. Let's move the chutes over and let's attach our UV pot, which is this guy right here. Okay, so I've got one cable, or one hose right there. You know, I've never had a greater appreciation for these angled needle nose. If you guys have ever used anything like these, oh my gosh, putting on hose clamps and stuff in tight spaces, these things are champs. Okay, so the reservoir is going to sit right about there. Again, I'm putting these all in by hand. There it is. So if you guys see my technique for putting in fasteners in plastic, you go backwards and you'll hear a little pop. Right there, hear it? Then you go forward. That way there, you're not cutting new threads into the plastic, which could crack the plastic standoffs. So always make sure to find old threads if possible. Okay, and then I've got these guys right here. Why do I feel like it's these screws? Oi. Of course that's going to happen to me. Angled pliers to the rescue. I'm pretty sure that that was the fasteners that were used. Okay. There we have it, guys. All right. So I do need to do some cable management here, but with just a little bit of cable management, I think I will be good to go on this guy. Put another fastener in over here. Okay. These guys are tight. Nice. Okay, I do have one long fastener for the hoses, because that's going to drive me crazy. It's this one right here. And let's go ahead and assemble the super long extension. There we go. There we go. All right. So this is looking good. Dang, guys, I think we're ready to put some water in it and have it go all over my desktop. Let's do this. Ah, man. Okay. I do have this right here. And we have a foam core to install as well. Oi, uh-oh. I didn't scrape off the rust from the foam core. Give me a moment, guys. Yuck. I don't want to disintegrate the foam. You know what's crazy is that the rust built up little hexagonals right there and right there, just like the fastener's still there. So it's almost got like a false top of the fastener right there. All right, let's go back to my plastic scraper. Oh, what did I do with them? How about this guy? It is the top of the fastener. Oh, how weird is that? There you go. They're so rusted that the top of the fastener was embedded in the styrofoam. Look at this. Look at that. Wow. That's wild. I've never seen that before. All right, all I want to do is get most of that rust out of there. Rust begets rust. That's a poor ice machine. Well, I mean, technically, this is a pretty good ice machine. It's built well. It's just, you know, having everything being dependent on a little O-ring is never a good design. But you'd probably, unless you had one of these for like a bunch of years, you'd probably never even notice that that was the thing. Okay. So this guy right here is going to sit right here. This guy here is going to sit on top of it like that. Okay. It's a process. Let's do this. Okay, so this guy here sits like that. Perfect. Okay. I think before I do that, I don't have the upper silicone band on yet. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to put the silicone ring on, and then I'm going to add extra silicone near it so that I do not have this leaking problem ever again. Okay. So you can see how the band sits on there. Come here. pull this guy off. So what I'm going to do, notice I got gloves on. I'm going to take a little bead of silicone. I'm gonna cram it in the ring where the silicone O-ring sits, the groove, just like this. I'm just sticking a little dot on there. So when I put the O-ring in, it's going to squish out, and it's going to create a sealing surface. We go. All right. Now you're going to be surprised. A lot of ice machines that you'll find in medical settings will also have very similar guts to them than this guy. You know, if you get a nice one, it will also have like a UV pot, but most of the commercialized ones will have it'll have a plumbed water source instead of having a chamber. But that means you have to clean those out. I mean, they do get very dirty. Okay. So what I don't want is silicone up here around the ring where the ice is going to come out. So I'm just wiping it away and making sure that the silicone stays low. And in fact, I'm going to stick it all the way around the bottom angle. Like so. And I know I'm making a little bit of a mess here. But when I put these all together, it's going to mate up perfectly. It's going to be beautiful. Okay. Go ahead and put the lid on here. Okay. That's why I got this guy right here. All right. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to let this guy make ice for quite a while before I would consider it good to go. So I'm going to add several chambers of water, have it run for probably a week while dumping the ice, and then I will consider it good enough for food. All right, here we go. O-rings in. Now I'm going to add a thin layer of silicone over the silicone O-ring. Now this does make it very difficult to pull it apart, but I think this guy's had a pretty good life. So at this moment, I would say it's going to be dead if it fails again. There we go. All right. Silicone's on. Next, I got this guy right here. Now I got to be a little bit careful sticking him in. All right, come on. Here we go. Make sure no wires are being pinched. And I didn't bump any of the silicone that I had installed. Beauty. Now my chute. Again, I got to make sure that all the wires are lifted. There we are. Okay. No, that could be a problem. Okay, well, I got to take out 2 little screws right here because I need to be able to flex this guy a little bit. Not much of a problem. Okay. So what I need to do is be able to pull it back just a little bit, then push it down right there. So I got a good silicone seal. I can see it and I felt it. That's going to be perfect. Okay, now for the M4s. And for these ones, I'm going to use some socket head screws. And they're not going to be that long, are they? Okay, those should do it. Let's see if I got some better options here. Hold on, hold on. Let's see if I have the clearance to put in some taper heads. I do. Perfect. Now, the reason I want to use the taper heads is because they have a flange that can help pull down on the plastic versus the cap heads, which cap head screws are just, they are what they are. Okay, let me grab, I don't need him. Give me these guys. And what, one of these. Perfect. And it's going together quite nicely. I need a shorter one. Man, these threads that I've chased in the part that was rusted, they're going in beautifully. Look at that. Beautifully. Now, it's also going to help it that silicone's going to cure. And when it cures, it's going to be an adhesive as well. And it's going to seal up any imperfections that might have been there that would cause moisture to leak out of that trough. Come on. Helps if I put a fastener in there. All right, there we go. All right, so now I'm going to clean off any squished out silicone. Beauty. And I've got 2 fasteners I need to put up in the front. And this guy here has to be sitting over top of it, just like that. Okay. And for this one, let's go ahead and sink this guy back in. Oh, it's getting to be such a bear to get those screws down in there. Okay. Again, the angled needle nose to the rescue. Come on. Right there. Wow. All right, there it is. It's kind of hard because all these pieces want to move away from each other. So getting them all to line up beautifully is not the easiest thing in the world. Okay, so these are going to be some large plastic screws. Try this one and this one. Oh no. There we go. Here's one. And I got a little screw that's being a rebel. It's running away from me here. Okay. And oh goodness. Ah. That could have been really bad. That is really bad. Oh no. Ah. Okay. Let's see. I have to have a small magnet to get down in there. That's going to be such a pain in the butt. So what just happened is a fastener fell down inside my auger, and that really sucks. It's let me try and get a magnet. Oh, that really sucks, guys. All right, I know I got some magnets here someplace, guys. Let's see if something like this will get it out. Nope. Note to self. Definitely avoid dropping things down that tube. Well, there is something else I could do. I could just tilt the darn thing upside down and get it to come out. Because the last thing I wanted to do is continue to fall down inside the auger head, because it would never come out. Never, never, never. Let me make sure that these are tight. Okay. All right, here it goes. We're going to flip this whole thing upside down and hopefully get this guy out. That auger's super smooth too, so if I bump it even a little bit, it's going to go further down. Okay, here's all my tools. What a mess, guys. Do I know HVAC? McMiddles, you are absolutely correct. That is the thing I'm going to do. Do I know HVAC? I did a couple videos on it. I don't know if that would qualify me as knowing it, because I mean there's a lot of science behind it. Oh, I think that was it. Was that it? Yes, sir. That was it. Woohoo! All right. So now I just need to get it to go right there, and I'm not going to take chances this time. So now I'm going to use my pliers, these guys. Stick it in there like so. This is the beauty of these pliers. I should have been doing this before, but you know that the whole thing about hindsight is a 20/20. Okay, there it is. Okay, so my chute is properly installed. You can see how the pot is going to fill up the reservoir, and then the water is going to come down into the chute and then back down inside the ice maker. That is technically the last thing that I really need to do. before I turn it on, guys. So, I don't really want to put any of the paneling on or anything until we are absolutely sure that this stupid thing is going to function. So, what do you think? Let's see. It feels like I'm missing something. What am I missing, guys? Oh, okay. The front control panel to this guy. That's what these two right here are for. I am missing those. Oh well. Okay. The switch is going to be in ice maker mode. And now, I guess we can take a better look and see what's going on with this system. Okay, so these two right here are drainage tubes. And those guys, is going to be imperative that I have them plugged into this guy. In other words, all my fluids are going to go everywhere. So there we go. This guy is going to latch on the back case. I've got my circulation pump, my reservoir, my ice chamber. All my hoses look like they're on beautifully. This right here is my auger drive on a gear reduction. And let's see, that looks like it's all wired correctly. All right, let's go ahead and flip it around. Okay, there's a little bit of debris. Hold on. If I can clean it now, let's clean it now. Oh, there's some chunky chunks. Okay. My my water reservoir down in there, it is now clean. Give it a wipe down with some paper towel. Come on. All right, that is looking amazing compared to what it was. I do have some scale on the back wall, but that is going to be easily excusable. No, the only water that I'm going to run through this guy is going to be reverse osmosis water, so I don't deal with that garbage. Whoever it was that was feeding this off the garden hose, shame on them for destroying a perfectly good device. Now, the worst case scenario, this thing is still broken and we don't get it to work. Best case scenario is it's functioning right now, which I think it is. And all we got to do is power this bad boy up. So, we're good, we're good, we're good. Now, I do have some silicone up here that I would like to cure a little bit before, I turn it on. But we're going to turn it on anyway. Just because. All right, let's see. This guy's all down. Now I do have a top cover that will fit in there, but the only thing I need is water and maybe the top, because it's got the two wires. Let me check and see what those wires do. All right. So that looks like a power button. So you can see the wires I'm talking about right there. So it does look like there's a power button. However, I'm not getting anything like a power button. Like it's not depressing. Do I have a problem with that power button? Yeah, it's not pressing down. I think I'm gonna take that guy apart next and see what's going on, because it's just not doing its job. Unless it's just an LED. Let's find out. There's no way it's just an LED, right? There's multiple wires there. Okay. What the hell? Is it capacitive? All right, hold on, hold on. This is crazy. I do believe it's capacitive coupled. So you see, it's just got a metallic thing right there on a dingle hopper. You see that? And that fits up right behind this piece right here. Here, let me flip this guy so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so I've got this guy right here, which it looks like a button for all intents and purposes, but I think it says switch 1, SW1. I think it's capacitively coupled so that when you put your finger on the centerpiece right here, you can see how it's insulated, that it knows that you're hitting the power button. So it's not a physical button like I would expect. That's wild, guys. That is absolutely wild. And then this other board right here, you guys can see. This board right here is just a ring of LEDs. That's all it is. Wow. That's kind of cool. I'm glad I took that apart, guys. Now let's go ahead and put it back together before I lose some more parts. All right. So yeah, let's assemble it like this. There, that makes it a little easier for me. And you can tell the springy sprung thing right there. Make sure that it gets good contact. That's wild. It seems like that was such a more expensive thing to manufacture than just a simple button. Just GE making their profile series a little classier. Okay, there's one. There we go. Okay. So I am going to have to correct my camera for one. So I am going to have to put this outer case on because that's going to be my two wires that tell it to turn on. So you guys get the gist of what's going on with the covers off. Dang, here, tell you what, I don't know if I can sit both of these on the countertop at the same time, like that. There we go. There's one. There's two. There. So now if it starts smoking, we know exactly where it's smoking from. Okay. Put this guy here. Don't worry, I'll adjust the camera angles for everybody so that y'all can see. Okay. And you guys will have a perfect view if it catches on fire. I have no idea. So the only other thing I know it needs is a bin detect. And I have not washed this bin yet. The bin looks like it has had better days. Okay. Well, I'm definitely going to wash that bin. So I also have the bin detect micro switch, which is up here in the upper corner. So it needs the bin, in other words, it's not going to make ice. Okay, let's see. I need water. So let me get some water. And no, I'm not using reverse osmosis right now because I got to flush it out. Okay. No leaks. Oh shit. Never mind. All right. Demonetized. All right, there we go. Splashed her out the front on me. Okay. Let's go ahead and plug this bad boy in, huh? So one of the things you can see about this reservoir, see how the bottom of it down there has got those holes. That is so that when it recirculates water back through the chamber up here, that it can go all the way out past the ice. And it's also for condensate and for melt from the ice. All right, just cleaning up the chamber a little bit. I don't think there's too much goo inside it to clog up the system I just spent hours and hours cleaning. Okay, put this guy in here. Up, yeah. And I can hear it hit the micro switch. Cool. All right, guys, what do you think? Fire? No fire? Who knows? All right, there you go. Now this auger is going to spin very slowly, so I don't expect it to create ice for like, what, 30 minutes or so, probably longer. And also, I have no idea how much electricity this thing's going to pull. I could just take a look down on the, there we go. I could just take a look on the build sheet. Oh, look at that. We've got circulation pump. So the circulation pump is going to fill this chamber right here. And it's also filling the pot, which is the, yeah, and the auger spinning right here. I can see it. Yes. Fantastic, guys. Okay, let's get rid of some of this extra moisture. It's so quiet. Here. This is with the microphone right next to it. Okay, let's see, how many amps does it pull? 2.5 amps. 2.5 amps, guys. That is phenomenal. Okay, so it is on the ice setting. Okay, let's go ahead and check the compressor. Guess I had to take my gloves off. Okay, I do have water coming up right now from the cooling chamber. Circulating back down in. Yes. Okay, what I'm doing now is I'm feeling the high pressure side to see if we get warmth. Now I did just flip this guy over, and it's normally frowned upon to do that, to turn it on for like a half hour after you flip a AC compressor upside down. Okay, so right now it's pushing any debris and whatnot out with the auger down this chute. And I don't see any fluid leaks whatsoever besides the stuff that I just dumped like a goof. Okay. I'm gonna have to zip tie cables up and everything myself. Okay. So what I need to do, I'm checking right now to see if it's getting hot or cold. I'm going to disconnect it and then reconnect it, and that should start the flushing cycle again. Hopefully it does. Come on, start your flushing cycle. Okay, I've got yellow LEDs over here on the button. So now it should be flushing water straight up through here continuously. It's in a cleaning cycle right now. Okay. It's doing its thing. Let's flick it over to cooling cycle. Okay, it did flash. It is capacitive. So it did flash. Now it's starting its cooling cycle. And we should be making some ice. Now it's going to take a while. It's probably going to take a couple hours. And I'm not going to sit here and wait for it to do its thing. But that's phenomenal, guys. It's so quiet. And this device also isn't leveled, and I can see that. Yeah. We also check for some leaks. Okay. What I want. Yes. Okay. So my UV is now finally starting to cycle. So this is what it should be doing. If this device is sitting level, then this guy should come out this orifice here instead of the back. So I don't even know if the people that had it before me leveled it. Okay. Looking really good, guys. Really good. That auger is spinning at like maybe 3 RPM. It's really slow. Super, super slow. Now, there is a bearing surface and also a sealing surface down at the bottom of the auger. And I went through and the bearing, I went ahead and I packed it with food grease because there's a stainless steel shaft that sits in that bearing. And when it compresses down, it should squeeze on the stainless steel shaft, which means it's also a sealing surface. So you would think like those surfaces, you'd want them lubricated so that it creates nice and smooth wear patterns, but it just wasn't. It wasn't lubricated whatsoever. So that's another thing I went through and did is everything that was a bearing surface, I cleaned it very particularly, and then I went ahead and made sure to grease it up. Okay, so far so good, guys. I think we're going to go ahead and let it just sit here and do its thing. And the only thing left to do is to put the outer shell on, which is super easy from this point. And we'll see if we get a basket full of ice. Anyway, guys, wow. That was quite the journey, folks, especially when it comes to the amount of scale that was in the system. That was a lot. And I'm glad that this is done because and in the same trip to Goodwill that I got this guy for $24.99, so 25 bucks, I also got a 600 series professional KitchenAid mixer. And I got that for $24.99 as well. That's also a $500 or $600 item. And it was in beautiful condition. It did have some oil, so I opened the top cover and I cleaned it. I was going to do a video on that, but I didn't. You know, this here being a chiller, we do have these in medical equipment. KitchenAid, it's kind of hard to justify that. But stay tuned because I'm going to have some other videos related to this where you can actually see where I drilled out some of the fasteners that were completely sheared off. And a lot of people would probably give up at that point, but there is ways. And I also have a brand new tool down here that I haven't even opened yet. And I've got a surprise package from Brian Bell. at HTM Workshop, and I've got to do a video on that. Man, I've just been so busy. So I need to get this thing off my workbench because I got some fantastic videos waiting for you guys. And I just need my space. I need my space. I've got chiller parts here. I had chiller parts over in the sink. I had chiller parts all over my work surface over here. And I've got chiller parts over here. I need to clean this up. I'm also working on my Arduino Nano project, and I would like to do some more videos on that. I just heard the compressor kick on, by the way. Oh yes. Oh yes. Fantastic. Okay, so we have a compressor. It is working. All right, guys. Well, okay. Let me edit the video, guys, and I will have you guys some fresh videos posted. That is my goal for today, and hopefully I get some of that stuff posted for y'all today. But anyway, thank you for watching. This is quite the journey. I had no idea if this was going to work, none at all. I didn't plug it in until right now, so for all I knew, it wasn't going to turn on at all. But that would have just led to other videos because I love when stuff doesn't turn on. That's when you get to do the really cool stuff, you know? So guys, stay tuned. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, I'll be posting the other video of removing fasteners that are stuck. We're gonna be drilling them out and getting them out professionally. And the next tool down here, I'm gonna have to find some pretty goofy stuff, you know, some fasteners that are sheared off, so I can demonstrate this guy because it is a very cool tool. And I honestly believe that everybody that fixes medical equipment should have one of these in their shop, but we'll have to wait and we'll see about that later, okay? Okay, guys, thanks for spending your Sunday with me. I'm super happy that this is working out. So wasn't expecting that. You never know, right? Thanks for watching, guys.